Good evening, folks. Tonight I want to talk to you about something that is very, very dear to my heart. I want to give you what I think are probably the top 10 tips in rearing children. I am awfully, I hate to use the word proud because of the negative connotations, but for lack of a better term, I'm awfully proud of my children, and I'll say more about that in a second. But let me read a few verses for you here, if I could, to get us started tonight. Deuteronomy 6:7, talking about the law of God, it says, "And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children." I think we probably are all familiar with Proverbs 22:6, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he'll not depart from it." Ephesians 6:4, "And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord." Proverbs 19:18, "Chasten thy son while there is hope." Proverbs 23:13, "Withhold not correction from a child." And we could look all throughout the Word of God and see so many verses of Scripture that teach us as moms and dads how to train our children. And so that's what I want to talk to you about tonight. Before I give you the top 10 tips that I'd like you to see, I want to just show you real quick here. These are my 4 children. Kurt is my oldest, the boy in the middle, and then Joseph and Alyssa, the one next to him. The one wearing white is Alyssa, and then there's Bethany. And this is a picture of them just being kind of silly. Yeah, this was taken several years ago, and they were just being goofy like they tend to be, which they get that from their mother. And that's a joke. And then here's one with them being a little more posed and serious. And let me just say that I am so incredibly proud of my 4 children. I don't even know how to begin to tell you the happy feelings that my children give me when I think of them. My son Kurt is the pastor of Calvary Baptist Church in Liberty, South Carolina. My daughter Alyssa is married to Nathan Burt. They live in Lancaster, California, and he is the children's pastor at Lancaster Baptist Church. My daughter Bethany is in Connecticut at Emmanuel Baptist with Pastor Carrie Schmidt, and she is a Christian school teacher there. And then my son Joseph is finishing up college. He'll be finished very soon here in just the next little bit with Veritas Baptist College, and he has a job here in the Niagara Falls area, Niagara Falls, Buffalo area, and he is just an incredible help to me here at Calvary Baptist Church. And all 4 of them love Jesus. They all 4 love each other. They all love the ministry. They all are soul winners. They just have a deep love for God and His work, and for me and for their mom. And I'm just so proud of them. And tonight, just if I can get these in quickly, I'm already 3 minutes into the video. And by the way, if you don't get all these, I'm going to post them in the comments section, so maybe that'll help you go back and find them later. And these are in no certain order, but these are, I think, maybe the top 10 things that my wife and I agreed on that and how we would raise our children. And so here we go, no certain order. Number 1, treat your spouse like royalty. I believe that one of the big reasons why my children turned out to love each other and love the Lord as they do is because my wife and I deeply love each other, and we treat each other with a great respect. And she adores me, and I adore her. And I believe that if you want to have children grow up respecting you, then you as husband and wife have to respect each other. Number 2, now this one may be difficult for some of you, but number 2, and we live by this one, never yell. Never yell. If you want children who are under control, then you have to be under control. And when you lose control, you're telling your children that it's okay to lose control, and it's not. If you ever have to yell, like, for example, whenever your child is stumbling out into traffic, they won't take you serious if you yell all the time. Now you might say, "Well, Pastor King, my kids won't listen if I don't yell." And to that I would say, "Oh yes, they will. Oh yeah, your bite has to be harder than the bark." Okay, but children have to learn to obey a whisper, and your children will. They will if they know that you're serious. You see, there's a certain decibel level that you have to reach before your children know you're serious. And if you're serious when the decibel level is low, they will finally figure that out. I felt like that from little children, I should be able to grab my little child, pull them close to me, and say, "Go take out the trash. Just whisper in their ear, and they should know to obey that. You shouldn't have to say, I've told you 30 times now. You have lost control. The problem is not the child. The problem is you. Okay? So never say, well, are you trying to say you raised 4 kids and you never yelled? Right. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And you don't have to either. Number 3, absolutely no back talk ever allowed. Absolutely no back talk. Now, if a child legitimately, if you tell them to do something and there's, but Dad, I can't take out the trash. I broke my leg last, okay, I get that. That's a legitimate response, okay? It's a legitimate disagreement, and there's nothing wrong with it. But if it's just back talk, I don't want to, that has to be totally stopped. And if you think you can't stop that, then I would say, what would you do if you saw your child running after a sibling with a knife in their hand? What would you do if you saw your child running out into traffic? Oh, you would stop that. You would stop that. And so I'm saying that back talk has to be totally stopped. Number 4 is a tight grip on entertainment. You can't allow things to entertain them that are contrary to the way you're trying to teach them. If you want your children to not cuss, then you can't allow cussing by way of entertainment to be in your home. If you don't want your children to be violent, you can't allow violence by way of entertainment in your home. So you have to keep a tight grip on entertainment. Listen, we live in an R-rated world. We're trying to raise G-rated children. You can't raise G-rated children with R-rated entertainment. Okay, all right. So that was number 4. Number 5, create a peaceful atmosphere inside the house. Create a peaceful atmosphere inside the house. My wife was so good at having Christian music, and I should back up and say soft Christian music played inside our home. She was so good about that. Now, there's a lot of Christian music out there that is not soft, gentle Christian music, and I'm not saying all of that is bad just because it's not soft and gentle. Power in the Blood is not a soft, gentle song, typically. But my wife was so good at just having Christian instrumental music playing inside our house, and it creates such an incredible spirit. I'm talking about just having a peaceful spirit in the home. Not every day, but quite often, my wife would try to have brownies or something baking, just so that when they would walk in the door, there would be a smell, an aroma. But we tried to have our house look orderly, smell good, and sound good. And when all of your senses, when all of your 5 senses are surrounded by peacefulness, it creates peaceful children. Number 6 is live out the fruits of the Spirit. Galatians chapter 5 gives us the list of the 9 fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, gentleness, goodness, meekness, temperance, faith. I think I left one out. But anyway, but you live those things, and by way of an example, you'll be shocked at what your children might pick up on. So live out the fruits of the Spirit. Oh boy, here's number 7. This is a tough one, and I probably should spend more time on this, but say yes to as many things as possible. As a Christian parent, we have to say no to a lot of things. We have to say no to a lot of things. We have to say no to a lot of things as Christian parents. But in order to offset that, we have to say yes to as many things as possible. I remember my wife and I had a conversation about this one time, and we both agreed that we're going to really try to be yes parents and not no parents, even though we did say no to so many things. And right on the heels of that, my oldest son, Kurt, he was just a little guy at the time, he wanted to go camping in the backyard that night with me. I really didn't want to do that. It was going to be cold that night, and the mornings were kind of dewy at that time. I didn't want to do that, but we had just agreed we were going to say yes to as many things, so we did. And I got to tell you something, I had a blast. Kurt had a blast, and it's one of our greatest memories now. So say yes to as many things as possible, because you got to say no to so much. All right, here's another really difficult one. Number 8 is never allow them to say no. Never allow them. Now, if you're asking a yes or no question and legitimately the answer is no, then that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is when you tell them to do something and they bark back, no, that has, in our family, that was the number one offense. That was treated as the absolute worst thing you possibly could do. Now you say, well, I'll never break my kids that. Oh, yes, you can. If you replace the word no with the dirtiest of the dirty words, you would never allow them to say that to you. No has to be the dirtiest of dirty words. It has to be. Never allow them, because it's not just that you're allowing them to defy you. You're allowing a spirit of defiance in your house when you allow that harsh rebellion. And if they can look at you at age 4 and say no, what are they going to be saying to you at age 14? So you've got to nip that in the bud, as our old friend Barney Fife used to say. Number 9 is faithful church attendance. Faithful church attendance. We did not miss, okay? Even if we weren't feeling good. Now, if we had a fever, obviously, and we're contagious, we would not go to church. But listen, just because you stumped your toe last night, just because you stayed up too late on Saturday night, tough. You'll learn next Saturday night not to stay up too late. But when a child grows up in a home where you're regular at work no matter what, you're regular at school no matter what, but you miss church over nothing, that teaches such an incredibly horrible lesson, faithfulness to church. And then finally, number 10 is sincerely follow the great commandments. And those are love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. And if you will live out those 10 things, and I will put those in the comments section, if you'll live out those 10 things, I'm not saying that's everything that we did, but if you'll just do those 10 things, you will see the rest of it will pretty much fall in place. I hope that helps somebody. I really do. And I know I'm over time already here, but let me just quickly say this. The amount of time that you have to raise a child is short. It is short. They are going to be out of your house in no time. Do it right. Do it right. You only get one shot at this. You only get one shot. And what you may not understand now is the way you raise them will reflect how they will raise their children and their children. You can damage generations of children. You can bless generations of children. Do it right.